Okay, so let's start environment. First, we will going to deal with the NGT. We will read it in little detail because I will also provide its PDF. No need to worry. Okay. So first thing is that the NGT has been established in 2010 under the National Green Tribunal Act. National Green Tribunal Act was passed, and through that NGT was established. If it's passed by act, it is an statutory body. So NGT is a statutory body. And what is its work? Its work is basically effective and expeditious disposal of case relating to environment protection and conservation of forest, other natural resources, including enforcement of any legal rights. So basically, it is saying that we know that in our country, a civil suit takes long time, 5 year, 10 year, 15 year, 20 year. So to resolve, so we cannot wait for environment to go like this much time. Any environmental issues should be dealt as fast as possible. So that's why it is a tribunal is made to resolve these issues. Next is this tribunal will not be bound by the procedure laid down under the Code of Criminal Procedure 1908. So this our NGT do not follow the CPC, Code of Criminal Procedure 1908. It is not followed by the NGT. Why? Basically because it wants to dispose the issues which are coming in front of NGT as soon as possible. So they have their own way of procedure. So that governs on the principle of natural justice. So the basic concept of natural justice is that everyone should be addressed, everyone should be given a chance, something like that. Concept of natural justice is that when you will enroll once, you will read it in detail. Next is that the tribunal is mandated to make endeavor, means it will try hard for disposal of application or appeals finally in 6 months. So then NGT will try hard to dispose and to solve or resolve any issues which are coming in front of in 6 months. Next is NGT is purport to be set up at 5 places. So there are 5 places where NGT set up is here in our country. First is New Delhi, which is in north, except that there are 4, which is Bhopal in center, Pune in west, Kolkata in east, and Chennai in south India. So I mean New Delhi is the principal place of sitting of this tribunal, and except that Bhopal deal with the central India, Pune deal with the West India, Kolkata deal with the East India, and Chennai deal with the South India. Next is with the establishment of NGT, India became the third country in the world. Only 2 more countries except India having these kind of green tribunals. The rest 2 is the Australia and New Zealand. And India is the first developing country to do so. And these members are the tribunal comprises the chairperson, the judicial members, and expert members. They are for 5-year term, and they cannot be appointed again. They cannot be reappointed again on the same post. Their language of procedure is English, and chairperson of NGT is a retired judge of Supreme Court. There are to be least 10 and maximum 20 full-time judicial members and expert members. So their number strength of NGT fluctuates from the 10 to 20 members, including all the judicial and expert members of the tribunal. Next is NGT and order can provide. So NGT क्या करेगा? What NGT will do for the remedies? So what remedies are there? First is the relief and compensation. It will give compensation to the victim of pollution and other environmental damages. Second, it will do the restitution of property damage. If any property is damaged through by anyone by damaging the environment, so they will restitute it. Third thing is for restitution of environment for such area or areas as the tribunal may think fit. So tribunal is basically providing these kind of three reliefs. What next if nobody follows the tribunal's order or what tribunal is saying? Then what tribunal can do? Tribunal have authority to punish imprisonment for 3 years. I mean up to 3 years, extend to 3 years. Other it can make a fine till 10 crore rupees. So 10 crore rupees is a huge amount, and they can as a penalty they can charge the money, or they can do both fine and as well as imprisonment. Next is NGT has instrument in ensuring that environment impact assessment. We will read about environment impact assessment in further slides. Proceed is strictly observed. So what environment impact assessment is making, that things should be followed strictly under the NGT. Two important acts: Wildlife Protection Act. Remember this Wildlife Protection Act 1972 and Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dual Recognition of Forest Rights Act. It was also amended I think in last 1-2 years before this act. So this is also important act. So these two do not come under the NGT. They are out of NGT jurisdiction. So what acts are coming under the NGT? These are here given, and these are the important acts. So you have to have some idea about these acts. The Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974, the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Cess Act 1977, the Forest Conservation Act 1980. This one is important. This one is also really important. The Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. Related to this, there was a question in previous year. Environment Protection Act 1986 and the Public Liability Insurance Act 1991. The Biological Diversity Act 2002. So these are the some important acts which are covered under the NGT. So this was the basically things regarding NGT. So you have to read it thoroughly and again you have to revise it to have a command over these. Next is Central Pollution Control Board. So first we will go nationwide. What are the important bodies in India regarding environment? Then we will go to the world level. It is a statutory organization under Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. It is established in 1974 under Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. So Central Pollution Control Board is established under the Water Act 1974, Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. Next is it is also entrusted with the power and function under the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. So this Central Pollution Control Board also works under the Air Act 1981, and its head office is in New Delhi, and it also provides field information as well as technical service to Ministry of Environment and Forest under the provision of Environment Protection Act 1986. Next is Animal Welfare Board of India. So Animal Welfare Board of India basically work to prevent the cruelty against the animal, and there is also Act Prevent of Cruelty to Animal Act 1960, and this welfare board is established in 1962 under Section 4 of this Act, Prevention of Cruelty to Animal Act. Next is National Board for Wildlife. So National Board for Wildlife is constituted under the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. It was the one of the earliest act regarding the protection of the wildlife in India. The National Board for Wildlife Standing Committee chaired by the Union Minister of Environment and Forest. So this standing committee is chaired by our Environment Minister. Next is National Biodiversity Authority. So National Biodiversity Authority was established by the central government in 2003 to implement India's Biological Diversity Act 2002. So it performs and facilitates regulatory and advisory function for the government of India on the issue of conservation, sustainable use, biological resources, fair and equitable sharing of benefit arising out of use of biological resources. So basically its work is to whatever biological resources we are getting, it should be equally divided for all the people, I mean for the all people, for the all people's benefit of our country, and its headquarters is in Chennai. Wildlife Control Crime Control Bureau. So you can understand what it works. Its basic work is also explained through these. I mean this name, crime control, wildlife crime control. Crime Control Bureau is a statutory multidisciplinary body which established by the government under the Ministry of Environment and Forest. Its headquarters is in New Delhi, and it also have 5 regional offices too: Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai, Chennai, and Jabalpur. And what its work is to collect and collate intelligence related to organized wildlife crime activities, and to disseminate the same to state other enforcement agencies for immediate action as to apprehend the criminal. So basically their work is to control the organized wildlife crime activities in our country. Next is Zoological Survey of India. It is one of the also oldest organization. It was established in colonial period in 1916. And this was established by Britishers to study the zoological section for the Indian Museum at Calcutta, which was established in 1875. And India is recognized as one of the 17 mega diversity countries of the world. So in India there are 4 biodiversity hot spots. One is Western Ghat. Can anyone tell where is this Western Ghat? Eastern Ghat, Western Ghat. No idea?
Western side from Maharashtra to Kerala.
Okay, yeah. So you can see something India, South India's map like this. So these areas are comes under the Western Ghat. These areas comes under the Eastern Ghat. So this is Eastern Ghat. This is Western Ghat. Next is Indo-Burma. Indo-Burma region. Indo-Burma region is our northeast is something like this. So these areas, Arunachal, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, these are the Indo-Burma region. Next is Himalayan. Himalayan is the northern India. Then this is Sunanda land. Sunanda land is Andaman, Nicobar and some Indonesian region. Next is National Ganga River Basin Authority. National Ganga Basin Authority's basic work is that change and comprehensive approach to champion the challenges posed to Ganga through four different sectors. So four different sectors are polluting our river Ganga. So they are wastewater management, solid waste management, industrial pollution, and riverfront development. So through these, we can improve the condition of river Ganga. For that purpose, this National Ganga River Basin Authority is constituted. This environment impact assessment, we have talked about it while reading the NGT. So United Nations Environment Program defines environment impact assessment as a tool. So what basically its work? To identify the environmental, social and economical impact of a project prior to decision making. So we know in our country there are multiple projects by government and private sector, like some project is given to make a dam on any river. You can select any river like Yamuna in Uttarakhand. So there, if they are making dam, so how much it will damage their surroundings and how much it will make economically loss to the people who are settled there where they have planned to make the dam. So they basically make an environment impact assessment. So after that, if they will, that would be satisfactory nature. I mean, there would be a minimal damage. Then only these kind of projects would be allowed. So that is basically environment impact assessment. And first, it was introduced in 1978 for the River Valley project. This is really important. India State of Forest Report. While I was teaching you the current affairs, I have explained about the India State of Forest Report, that these report is biannual. So they come up, I mean every 2 years these reports are released by the Union Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. They release this India State of Forest Report 2021. Our previous was 2019. It is an assessment of India's forest and tree cover. So what is, how much cover forest have in our country, how much land are covered by the trees in our country. All these things are detailed, I mean these things are explained in this report. And this is published by every 2 years by the Forest Survey of India. Where this Forest Survey of India is, this is important institute, we have to remember. It is situated in Dehradun, Uttarakhand. So there are three categories of forest which are surveyed by the Forest Survey of India. First is very dense forest, then is moderately dense forest, then is open forest. This is showing the percentage of trees cover over that region. The total forest and tree cover is 24.62%. So this you have to remember this fact data, that currently India has 24.62%. So if you will look the 2019, there is some increasement in this little bit. The total forest cover is 21.71% of the geographical area of country, and tree cover is 2.91% of the geographical area of our country. And this total makes the 24.62%. You can see this picture. It is comparative to 2019, where tree cover increase, where tree cover decrease. It is not much relevant for exam, but you will have the little bit understanding on this. For that I have added it. You can read it later through the PDF. Now we will deal with the international organizations related to environment. First is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. United Nations Summit Conference on Environment and Development, which is also popularly known as Earth Summit. There was a question asked in the 2020, I think. So where it was held? This held in 1992 in a city, Rio de Janeiro. Can anyone tell where this city is? Rio?
Brazil.
Brazil.
Yeah, it's in Brazil. It is one of the most, developed city of Brazil. So this was adopted by consensus, the multilateral legal instrument. All the countries come and made this framework, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So through this Earth Summit, this uh, Convention on Climate Change came in 1992. What is the basic work of it? What for which purpose this Rio Summit happened? To control what?
Greenhouse gas.
To control greenhouse gas. They could do to limit average global temperature increase. Next is Kyoto Protocol. After that, there happened a Kyoto Protocol. From there, a conference of parties, started. Conference of parties is a meeting by all the United Nations members on every year to discuss the environment related issues. So from here it started. Can anyone tell recently conference of parties where happened? In which place it happened? Last conference of party, because I have explained it while teaching the monthly current affairs.
COP26 at Glasgow में हुई थी.
Yes,
Conference
conference
of
of
Parties
party
26.
26, which happened in Glasgow. And why it is important to remember it? Can anyone tell any significant thing? Because here India has made a promise that 2047 India will make this renewable energy, use more frequently renewable energy up to 40%, and till 2070 India will become the carbon neutral country. What is carbon neutral country? Carbon neutral country basically means that whatever it will release, that much they will produce the oxygen, so they will make balance. So that's why we have to remember the Glasgow. And an Indian origin also headed this Glasgow summit in UK. So Kyoto Protocol was such conference of parties number 3. So basically it commits industrialized country to stabilize greenhouse gas emission based on the principle of the convention. So basically it made necessary that the industrialized country which have produced more this carbon dioxide and greenhouse gas, they should be committed toward this principle of the convention, and they should reduce their greenhouse gas emission through any way. And its central principal theme was that common but differentiated responsibility. It is a common responsibility, but it is also differentiated responsibility. Common responsibility that everyone should work on it. Everyone should try to reduce this greenhouse gas emission. But the developed country which have released more carbon dioxide, they have more responsibilities to reduce it. So that's why it is given common but differentiated responsibilities. Overall, these targets add up to an average 5% emission reduction to 1990 level over 5-year period 2008 to 12. So there were target to reduce 5% emission. between 2002 to 12, 2008 to 12. And there was a concept came emission trading or cap and trade. So basically, if some country is releasing more this greenhouse gas, so it can help to any developing country, or sorry, or underdeveloped country, through the technologies that they should reduce less carbon, and in place of that they can uh, I mean they can what we say, they can, sorry, what they can release, sorry, they can release more carbon. So it is a kind of exchange program. So they will give money or funding to the developing country and underdeveloped country, so they will reduce less they will release less greenhouse gas, and in place of that developed country can release more greenhouse gas. So this concept of emission trading or cap and trade concept came from the Kyoto Protocol. Then there was a Lima outcome. Where is this place Lima? Lima is a place in Peru. Peru is a South American country. That's capital is Lima. Pledges were made by both developed and developing countries. In this, finally, developed and developing countries both agreed uh, that they will reduce the greenhouse gas, and they also agreed to make a new green climate fund with the 10 billion dollar, and for increasing the level of transparency, confidence building reached new height. Means before this Lima and between Kyoto there were many summits, but in that developing countries didn't agree with the developed countries. So finally in Lima, developing and developed countries both agreed to work on that together. And then there was a Paris Climate Change Conference. It is really important because some basic lines are drawn here, like to hold the increase in global average temperature to well below 2% degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level. So if we go in history, we can see that our industrialization worldwide started somewhere between 1750 to 1850. 1750 it started from England, and then it spread to whole Europe, America, and other some Asian countries like Japan. So this is the period of industrialization. So between somewhere here, whatever was the temperature, so below 2 degrees Celsius would be our target, final target. So whatever was the temperature at that time, maximum increment should be 2%. And then to pursue effort to limit temperature increase to 1.5% degrees above pre-industrial level. So you people are thinking this is 2 degree, 1.5 degree, what it's matter if today is 48, tomorrow would be 50. That doesn't making any sense, because we are already having 48. If we will have 50, what would be the, I mean, big deal in this, big problem in this? We are already facing that. But that doesn't work like this. Suppose if it is also, if temperature is also increasing, then temperature is also decreasing. It is the just average. So somewhere it is increasing high, I mean even 5 degree more Celsius. So somewhere it is decreasing 3 degrees Celsius. So something like that, it is just average. So if even 0.5 degrees Celsius is changing, it is changing a lot. Somewhere it is changing a 6 degree, somewhere it is changing 4 degrees, somewhere it is changing minus few degrees. So something like that, it is very harmful that even 1 degree Celsius averagely increment. So are you people getting what I am saying? If anyone have doubt, they can ask.
सर ये वाली स्लाइड में सर क्वेश्चन किस तरीके से फ्रेम कर सकता है एग्जामिनर?
एग्जामिनर पूछ सकता है कि पेरिस क्लाइमेट चेंज जो हुआ था वो बेसिकली क्या कितना डिग्री का लाइन ड्रॉ किया था कि कितना प्री इंडस्ट्रियल एज से कितना इंक्रीमेंट तक होना चाहिए, मतलब कितने डिग्री पे रोकना चाहिए। तो बेसिकली वो 2 डिग्री सेल्सियस है। ओवरऑल जो पेरिस क्लाइमेट चेंज का टारगेट था वो कि 2 डिग्री सेल्सियस प्री इंडस्ट्रियल लेवल के इंक्रीमेंट पे रोकना है एनी हाउ। तो इस तरह के क्वेश्चन बना सकता है, दे दे 2 डिग्री 3 4 5 समथिंग लाइक दैट। नेक्स्ट इज REDD. What is this? Reducing emission for deforestation and forest degradation is the global endeavor to create an initiative for developing countries to protect better management and save their forest resources. So it is basically reducing emission through the deforestation and forest degradation. Basically, number of forests should be increased to reduce the emission. There are two ways to reduce. One, planting more, trees, and another way to reducing the carbon emission. So this works through the deforestation and forest degradation. And it is estimated that a REDD plus program for India could provide capture of more than 1 billion ton of additional carbon dioxide over the next 3 decades. So people are hopeful that India will capture more carbon in coming 3 decades. So India will also be getting the few billion dollars. So there is also a fund created. Whoever will work on these things, those countries will get extra fund through the international organization. Next is Intergovernment Panel on Climate Change, IPCC. So what is the basic work of IPCC? It was established to provide the government of the world with a clear scientific view. So this is a kind of a research organization which gives the data and scientific ideas and views that what is happening in world's climate. Its headquarters is in Geneva, Switzerland, and it is adopted through a resolution in 1998 by the support of United Nations Environment Program, World Meteorological Organization, and it was created by the UN General Assembly. So these three organizations are important in creation this IPCC, Intergovernment Panel on Climate Change. IPCC is a scientific body. It reviews and assesses the most recent scientific, technical, socio-economical information procedure worldwide. Next is Global Environment Facility. I know lots of things is new for you people here, but it is really important. That's why I am teaching and covering it. So what is this Global Environment Facility? Global Environment Facility is basically a kind of fund which provides funding to all over world different environmental organizations and environmental activities and initiatives. So it was established in 1991 by the World Bank with the consultation of United Nations Development Program and United Nations Environment Program to provide funding to protect the global environment. So it was basically started from $1 billion as a pilot program, but now it become a regular program in present day. And its headquarters is Washington DC, which is also capital of USA. So 183 countries are part of it. The Global Environment Fund has has 6 focal areas. First, biological diversity. Second, climate change. Third, international water. Fourth, land degradation. Fifth, ozone layer depletion. Sixth is persistent organic pollutants and their financial mechanisms all are here written here. Convention on Biological Diversity. So Global Environment Facility provides fund to these different groups. United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UN Convention to Combat Desertification, Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants, Minamata Convention on Mercury. We will read this convention, I think, uh, Vienna Convention. After that, what happened on ozone? Montreal. There was a question on that. So there might a question come on Stockholm Convention or Minamata Convention. We will read it in little detail. International Union for Conservation of Nature. This is a organization, international organization. Its headquarters in Gland near Geneva, Switzerland. It's basically work to conserving biodiversity is a central mission of IUCN. They work on the hundreds of the conservation projects all over the world, and their strength is they have joined 1200 government and non-government members under their organization. So they also release a red list of threatened species. So whenever you people go on this Wikipedia, so you people, if you will search any bird species or any tiger species or any animal, so there where you will find there is a something like that a list came that vulnerable, most vulnerable, endangered, most endangered, something like that. So who decide all those things? So if you haven't noticed, go and do Wikipedia, you will see these things. So they are basically released by this IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature. So they release the red list. So through that it shows that which species are threatened. I mean they are in very less number and they might extend in coming years. So now we will read basically the conventions. So can anyone tell about Ramsar Convention? I have explained it already. No one? We have read that Ramsar Convention related to the wetlands. Wetland is a place where some water collected, and this is adopted. Ramsar is a basically a place in Iran, so where that convention happened, and this Ramsar Convention came. So this convention related to wetland, you have to remember this much only. What is Stockholm Convention? Stockholm Convention related to persistent organic pollutants. We know have read PM2, PM10. So these are the small particles which are the show the pollution level of any place. So something like that, organic pollutants, carbons. These are the small pollutants on which this Stockholm Convention has held in 2001 in Geneva. No, it was adopted in basically in Geneva, Switzerland in 2001. Next is Bonn Convention and Vienna Convention. Bonn Convention is related with the conservation of the migratory species of wild animals. We know that wild animals migrate from one place to another. So regarding that, this Bonn Convention. Vienna Convention is related to the protection of ozone layer. So basically there are three convention on ozone layer happened which are important. First one is the Vienna Convention, protection of ozone layer, which have adopted in 1985 happened and it came into force in 1988. So these years are not that much important, but you have to remember these convention held for what purpose. Next is Montreal Protocol and Kyoto Protocol. Protocol, this question was there in previous exam. It is an international environment protocol on substance that deplete of ozone layer. So they have basically discussed what are the substances which are, depleting the ozone layer in the Montreal Protocol. Kyoto Protocol we have already read. This is related to greenhouse gas emission. Next is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. We have read it in detail. It's also related to greenhouse gas. This Rio Summit, which is also known as Earth Summit, through this uh, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change came. UNCCD and Basel Convention. So basically UNCCD is full form United Nations Convention to combat desertification. What is desertification? मतलब where these trees are depleting and soil is turning into sand, so something like desert like condition is happening. So for that it has happened. Basel Convention on the control of transboundary movement of hazardous waste and their disposal. We know that if you people might have read or not, uh, in from UK there were some hazardous waste was sent to Sri Lanka. They were basically giving it for the exchange of money. They are sending their hazardous waste to the developing or underdeveloped country for some money. So something like that, it is regarding to that this convention. So some year before they have sent some hazardous waste to Sri Lanka which harmed to the Sri Lankan. So there that was in news. Next is Nagoya Protocol and Kigali Agreement. Nagoya Protocol is related to the International Environment Protocol on access of genetic resources. It is related to the genetic resources and fair and equitable sharing benefit arising from their utilization to the Convention on Biological Diversity. So this Nagoya Protocol was on the genetic resource and their fair and equitable sharing. Next is Kigali Agreement. So I have told about there are three agreements related to ozone. First is Vienna, second is Montreal, and third is Kigali. And Kigali is the most recent. It came into force in 2019. It happened in 2006. And Minamata Convention. Minamata is a place. Can anyone tell me where is this city? Which country city is this? Minamata.
Japan.
It is in Japan. This Minamata city is in Japan. So what happened in there? Industries have released their mercury in the sea water there, and many of the fishes have consumed those things, and those fishes are consumed later by the local people there, and when they took it, eat it, gradually they have started seeing that their nerve system are becoming damages. So lots of people got affected by this. So when research happened, they get to know that due to this mercury in water and this fishes, this thing is happening and affecting to the large population of Minamata city. So through that, this Minamata Convention came. It is an international environment treaty intended to protect health and the environment from the adverse effect of mercury. So you have to remember the mercury with Minamata Convention. Next we will read the ozone layer, and after that we will look the environment related important dates, and there our this lecture will end. Ozone layer. What is ozone layer? We know there are some uh, layers of the atmosphere. Can anyone tell all the layers of the atmosphere? What is the last layer in which we are, I mean, inhaling the air? Which uh, which layer is that? Troposphere, troposphere, then stratosphere, then exosphere,
Mesosphere.
ionosphere, something like that is there. So ozone layer is a part of stratospheric ozone layer. Stratosphere, which is the second one. Sometimes question something like that comes in our exam. So you have to remember that. So this basically ozone layer is O3. Oxygen, three oxygens are binds and make O3. That's chemical formula, which protects life on Earth from harmful UV radiation. So this basically protects us from the skin cancer. Then we have already read that in 1985 Vienna Convention for the protection of ozone layer has happened. In 1987 Montreal Protocol on substance that deplete of ozone layer has happened, and this ozone depleting substances like hydrofluorocarbon, chlorofluorocarbon, all these things are gradually means phased out. I mean gradually reduced to use in our fridge, refrigerator, and other AC and other devices what we use day by day. Then the adoption of 2016 Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol. So it also talks about the phase down of hydrofluorocarbon. So these are the basically harmful to the ozone layer. Now we will move to the environment related important dates. So these last year in 2020, in 2020 there was a question, or 2021, about World Environment Day, which is the 5th June. So you have to remember some of our more important which you have to remember. World Water Day and Sanitation Day happen on the same day, that is 22nd March. Can anyone also tell for which state's day is 22 March? Anyone is here from Bihar? Bihar Divas is also celebrated on 22nd March. World Forest Day is 21st March. You have to remember this too. World Resource Day is not that much important, but just read once. World Atmosphere Day is also. Earth Day is important. That is 22nd April. Migratory Bird Day 8 May. World Biodiversity Day 22nd May. One Mahotsav Saptal, which is organized by our own in country through the Ministry of Environment, which is the first week of July. World Population Day is 11 July. World Energy Conservation Day is 14 November. So there are some which you have to remember which is more important, like Earth Day, Forest Day, Water Day, Environment Day, Biodiversity Day, and this one Mahotsav Saptah and World Energy Conservation Day. So these are the few which you have to focus for your exam. Is anyone having any doubt? They can ask now.